And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of Mayday's newer releases. This one is Get Bit, and it's a card game for 2 to 6 players, in which players will be trying to best outwit their opponents by playing cards to the table and trying to move their swimmer to the front of a pack so it doesn't get eaten by a shark. So, it's a pretty simple game. Let's just get right into it, open up the box, see what's inside, and see how I feel about it. So here we have set up for either a 2 or a 4 player game of Get Bit. And there are a couple important things to note. First is that each player will have both a robot, this is the robot, I'll go over this in a little bit more detail in a second, and they will have a hand of cards. And depending on how many players there are, you'll have more or less cards. You'll see that there's 1 through 7, but in a 2 or 4 player game, you're actually going to remove the 6 and the 7. You'll have a 1 through a 5 for each player. So the cards are pretty nice. Get Bit on the back, and then on the front side, robots in various forms of swimming. And then we have the robots themselves, and as I said, these are pretty cool. Nice movable joints, but the coolest part is that their limbs just pop right off, and this is integral to the gameplay, because it's going to be a good way to keep track of who's winning and how many pieces players have lost. So you'll put these on here, and the robots will be swimming. So you can see here that we have a row of 4 robots. The yellow player in front, then blue, then green, and then purple in the back, followed by a shark. The original game, if I'm not mistaken, came with a shark card, much like this one, which was just meant to symbolize the shark at the end of the line who's chasing after the swimmers. But now, the game comes with this Lego shark, and I believe this was inspired by Tom's addition to the game in his review using a Lego shark, so now they've included one with the game. Very nice touch. Anyhow, the game plays pretty simply, and all that's really going to happen is that each player is going to have their hand of cards. And what they're going to do is they're going to secretly choose one of these cards, and they're going to play it face down in front of them. And each player will do this, keeping their card hidden until everyone's selected. So let's say that yellow chose a 1, and blue, say, chooses a 3. Purple's going to choose a 3 as well. And green chooses the 5. So, now that everyone's chosen, everyone would simultaneously reveal their cards. And so, we'll flip them all over. We already know what everyone has. But this is where things come into play. So, the lowest card that's untied is always going to go first. So in this case, it's going to be 1. And what would happen is that player would move their robot to the front of the line. So in this case, they're already at the front of the line. They're not going to go anywhere. Then the next untied card would go next. So in this case, that's 5, because the 2 3s tie each other, and neither of these players will move this turn. So green is going to move all the way to the front in this case. And everybody else would slide back. And now that round is ended. But not quite. In the first round, you'll skip this step, but from every subsequent round, what's going to happen is that the shark is going to bite whoever's in last place, and they get bit. And what's going to happen then is that this player will lose a limb. And it just pops right off. As I said, these robots are really cool. And then that player would move to the front of the line, and everybody else would slide back, and we'd start a new round. The player who gets bit gets to pick all of their cards back up, while everyone else has to leave their cards on the table. And so for the next round, everybody but purple would be operating with 1 less card. Otherwise, players are going to pick up all of the cards when they have only 1 left in their hand. And so that means that they'll play several rounds, playing all of these cards, and then when they have 1 card left in their hand, after that round, they will pick them all back up, and they'll start with a fresh hand. Players would then select their next card, face down in secret, and gameplay would proceed in this manner until there are only 2 players left. A player gets eliminated when they have all of their limbs removed. So if this player gets bit 4 times, they no longer have any legs. And look, even the torso pops off. But they no longer have any legs, and that player's out of the game. And then there would be 3 players. And once that other 3rd player gets removed, there are 2 left. Whoever is closer to the shark gets devoured immediately, and the remaining player wins. And that's all there really is to Get Bit. It's a pretty simple game in which you're trying to best predict what other players will be playing in order to keep your robot alive the longest. And so my thoughts on the game are actually that it's quite enjoyable. It can be played by pretty much anyone of any age. They say on the box that it's for 8 and up, but I think if you had a younger child, you could pretty easily get the concept to them so they understand how to play the game, and they may even stand a chance of doing well. The game is fun, it plays really quick, it's only about 10 to 20 minutes, and really it's a pretty decent filler. I didn't go into it expecting to think much of it, but you know, it really kind of surprised me. There's some subtle guessing at what other people are going to do, and if you really play your cards right, you can probably develop a good strategy to stay in the lead most of the time. So, it's not a heavy strategy game. It's not something that you're going to spend hours brain burning over, but if you're looking to get a quick game in 10-15 minutes, take a look at Get Bit, the new release from Mayday Games with a nice upgraded Lego shark. I think it's a title that deserves a little bit of attention.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Yeah?